Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today we are back with championship predictions for the upcoming weekend's games. We've got some of yesterday's championship action to talk about and the weekend just gone. So much going on, Sophie. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Just loving all the football at the moment.
Honestly, there is so much going on and Coventry aren't doing too bad. Before we get into this video, guys, let's set the like target. Let's go for 297 likes. Hit that thumbs up button. You guys have been fantastic at doing that, and do make sure you are subscribed. Let's start with the big one, Sophie. On Sky Sports, it's Coventry City versus Sunderland. Now, for people that aren't aware, there is a bit of a bit of a rivalry.
There is a rivalry.
There is, to be fair. It's not obviously on the same page as Sunderland versus Newcastle,
and it's
but
been ramped up the more in the past couple of years as well.
Absolutely. There's a bit of history with this tie, and I do feel like it's always an entertaining game. Coventry tend to do fairly well against Sunderland. We haven't lost to them in the last 6 or 7 games, and I think this will be tricky. I mean, Sunderland have been brilliant this season. I mean, it's great to see them back in the Championship. For as much as some Coventry fans don't like them, they're a big club. It's great to have them back. They've got a fantastic fan base. But they're coming to the CBS. They had got a really good record away from home recently, but they did just lose to Rotherham. Before that, they dropped points at home to Bristol City. And Coventry City have started to improve. I have a sneaky feeling Coventry might pinch this. I think it's going to be hard, but I think we might win it and close the gap on the playoffs. 2-1 to the Sky Blues.
Yeah, see, I agree with that scoreline exactly, because I don't see either team keeping a clean sheet here. I think there's going to be goals. I think you've got to take our record against Sunderland into consideration here, even though they're in really good form. Apart from like last couple of games, they have kind of dropped points a little bit, but I don't think that's going to make a massive difference to their season. They're having a really, really good season. They've been limited to about 3,000 fans, which is a good allocation. They sold that out, of course. So I think the atmosphere is going to be really good. However, I think, City in full voice going to be the 12th man, and I see us picking up the 3 points. 2-1.
2-1. Right, on we go to St Andrews as Birmingham City take on Luton Town. Now, this one is interesting because Birmingham actually have a very good record against Luton Town. Last season, they beat them 5-0 at Kenilworth Road. They beat them at St Andrews as well. On the opening day of this season, it finished goalless. So Luton want to try and break that duck against Birmingham City, and I think they might. I think Birmingham City can be an obstacle, but they're not in great form. I mean, they picked up a bit, but then they've lost a couple games since, and I think Luton will grind out a win here. Luton did lose narrowly to Burnley at the weekend. I think Luton will go back to winning ways, just 1-0 to the Hatters.
See, I think odds will be in Luton's favour here, just because on paper they are a better team. Birmingham have a couple of good players, but they're in quite poor form, to be honest. They're sitting quite low down that table, and I'd say that's about right, to be honest, with some of the performances and the results they've been getting. However, I see a draw playing out here. I think it's going to be quite scrappy, but I see a 1-1.
1-1?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, we'll move on to Bristol City versus Hull City. An interesting match of two teams that I don't think are anywhere near going down.
No.
Seem quite a way off the playoffs. But in general, in the recent weeks, I've been impressed with these two. Yeah. And they're two teams in reasonably good form. Hull City have drawn a game recently against Preston. Bristol City drew recently at Sunderland. So a few things pointing towards a draw. But I think Bristol City's form over the last 6 games is, I think it's in the top 3 best in the division. So I am going to edge them here at home, 2-1 to Bristol City.
Yeah, I'm tempted to edge them as well. I do think this is going to be quite a tight game. I think Bristol City fans are happy with the point, more so the fact that they've finally been awarded a penalty. It's been a ridiculous amount of time. Hull City as well, I think they're doing quite well this season. It's a little bit up and down, but overall they're doing much better than I thought. I am going to have to back the home team though. I think it is going to be a low scoring game. So I'm going to say 1-0 to the Robins.
1-0 to the Robins. Okay, I like that. Okay, on to Turf Moor. It's Burnley versus Huddersfield. And Burnley, still fantastic, but not invincible. We've seen them draw to Watford. They drew last night to Millwall. Yeah. And Huddersfield, what a start for Neil Warnock. They beat Birmingham City, and this is a tough one, isn't it? I don't think too many Huddersfield fans will blame Neil Warnock if they lose away at Burnley. I think what they can take, what would be good, is if they lose narrowly, and put in a good performance, that's a sign of encouragement. But then after that, they'll need to try and pick some points up. So I am going to edge Burnley. I'm going to say they beat Huddersfield 2-0.
Yeah, I think Neil Warnock's plan here will be to grind out a point and just to manage that goal difference. With Burnley, they dropped points against Millwall because they conceded quite late on. With Burnley, I will mention I'm sick to death of all the play acting by Teller, and then there was a player last night who was just rolling around, and it's just not needed at all, so that winds me up. I do think Burnley are going to get the win. They're in very good form, so you can't ignore that. I'm going to say 1-0 though. I don't think it's going to be an absolute rollover, not now that Warnock's in. So I do think they'll get the 3 points, but just by one goal.
Yeah, I think that's what you've got to try and do to get anything off Burnley. Just keep it tight.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we go back to Carrow Road. They were at home to Birmingham City in midweek, and now they're at home to Cardiff City. You were right about that first goal. What a strike that was. And a great result for Norwich. They wrapped it up in stoppage time, making it 3-1 against Birmingham. I do think this might be a slightly harder test because Cardiff City have improved. They've picked up back-to-back wins. But I think Norwich will edge it. I think at Carrow Road, I fancy them especially, and they've got to at least get playoffs this season. Otherwise, it is a real write-off. And Wagner seems to have improved this team, even though they've been a little bit streaky. I'm going to say Norwich edge this game 2-1.
Yes, so up until the past couple of results, I have not been impressed by Cardiff at all this season. So I've got to give them their credit for the past couple of results. However, I don't think they're going to get anything against Norwich at the moment. I think Norwich are going to follow up their win with another win, 2-0.
2-0 to the Canaries.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to Deepdale as Preston North End take on Wigan Athletic. I'm not 100% sure what to make of this.
No.
Preston, for the majority of this season, I've thought are a pretty solid and robust team.
But away from home.
More so away from home, but I think in general recently... They've not... I think they're missing a couple of key players. I think that's what the problem is. And they're just drawing a few games. They don't seem to score so many. So I think Wigan might pinch something here. And I've said, I've backed Wigan for the last couple of games. They've picked up 5 points in 3. It was a good draw against Norwich. I mean, they could have won that game as well. I think Wigan might pinch this. 1-0 to Wigan. Up the ticks, come on.
1-0, Will Grigg. I was actually going to say the same. However, I feel like I've been agreeing with you way too much. So I'm going to give Preston their dues and say they'll get a point at home. 1-1.
1-1. Okay, fair enough. Going for a draw at Deepdale. We'll move on. This could be interesting. It's Queen's Park Rangers versus Blackburn Rovers. And I remember when these two met on the opening day, Blackburn won 1-0, but... It's kind of mirrored their season. I mean, QPR have not had a great season. They did have a reasonable start, but not great. And Blackburn have had a pretty good season. They're still in the playoffs. I mean, a lot of people have been saying they'll fall away, but they're still in there. QPR, though, we've got to say the change of management. Gareth Ainsworth, what do you think?
I think that's a great opportunity for him, to be honest. Being at Wycombe for over 10 years, he's done a great job with them. I know they're sad to lose him. So I actually hope he does quite well. But he might be one of them, like, Nathan Jones, how he's just good at Luton and then shocking everywhere else. Yeah. That could happen. However, I hope for him that it doesn't.
No, I agree, because I think Gareth Ainsworth's one of those really nice guys, isn't he? And I'm obviously gutted for Wycombe, because, he's been there for ages. So what I hope is, if Gareth Ainsworth doesn't get off to the best start, QPR give him time. Otherwise, it's just a horrible story again. QPR might as well give him time because their season's not really got much riding on it. I'm going to go for a surprise win. The new manager bounce. QPR 1-0.
Okay, I can see why you're saying that with the new manager bounce. However, I think it might take him a little bit of time to settle in. It is a bit of a jump from League One to the Championship. And it's only been appointed, I think, yesterday, so it's very, very early days. I do see him getting a point, though, so I'll say 1-1.
Yeah, could be an interesting game, that one. Right, we'll move on. This is a big game for Blackpool. They're away at Reading, and Reading are a team I've struggled to put my finger on this season. They are not as bad as some people have maybe made out, and I probably don't back them enough considering they're not in that actual bottom 3. I don't know what to expect from them, I'll be honest, Reading fans. Blackpool, meanwhile, they lost 1-0 to Blackburn Rovers. They did pick up the win against Stoke before that, so they want to try and get something here, and then maybe it's 4 points from 3 games. I think they might get a draw. I don't know if I fancy Blackpool to win this, but I might give them a point. I'll say 1-1. I'm struggling for this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I am, but I feel like I'm going to have to lean towards the Royals with this one. Just because Blackpool, they're not looking the best. I know they got a win a couple of games ago, but I think that was just a bit of a one-off, to be honest with you. So I'm going to back Reading to win 1-0.
Reading 1-0.
Yeah.
Wow, massive game. I tell you what is a massive game. We'll go on to Bramall Lane as Sheffield United take on Watford. Sheffield United, I spoke about them after the Middlesbrough defeat and said, well, there's a chance Middlesbrough might be able to catch them. And a few Sheffield United fans dismissed that idea. A few of them have said, well, look, it is a reality. And then the weekend after, they lose to Millwall, Middlesbrough win again, and the gap is shutting. They cannot afford the gap to shut anymore this weekend. Otherwise, the threat is very real and the pressure is on. I personally think Sheffield United will do it. But what I'm saying is there might be a fight to get over the line. And I think it's better for the neutral, but Sheffield United fans didn't want this.
No.
They're up against Watford. Now, Watford beat West Brom on the Monday night, and Watford are a strange team. I mean, look at the squad quality they've got, and you'd say they should be fighting for the top two. I think they will actually wrap up a top six finish, although they haven't been consistent or perfect this season. They just seem to win enough games and their star quality just gets them over the line. I don't know if they'll get anything from this game. I feel like Sheffield United have to win it more with what's going on. 1-0 to the Blades.
Oh, yeah, I do think this is going to be quite a tight game. I see both teams scoring in this though. But yeah, I feel like I'm going to have to back the Blades as well. They need the 3 points here. That sounds silly now, doesn't it? Because both them and Burnley were so clear of everyone else. But with Middlesbrough closing that gap, just for comfort-wise, they need the 3 points here. And I think they'll do it. 2-1.
2-1. Okay, we'll go on to Stoke City, who take on Millwall. Stoke, to be fair, great win against Swansea on the Tuesday night. And
wasn't expecting that.
Once again, just that another team that you don't think will go down, you don't think will make the playoffs, but they can cause damage to other teams. They've got a lot to play for, and they could get in Millwall's way here. We all know Millwall have got a lot to play for, and what a couple of results for Millwall at home to Sheffield United and Burnley to pull out 4 points. I think Millwall, they probably will wrap up the top six this season. I did say it from the start. I think it's going to be a battle, but Millwall are looking good, and I think they'll edge this 2-1.
No, I think this is going to be a comfortable Millwall win. That's not taking anything away from Stoke against Swansea, but sometimes Swansea shoot themselves in the foot, so I'd say like half the teams in the Championship could do that. Millwall are in very, very good form, and I think they're going to continue that against Stoke. So 3-0 to Millwall.
3-0 to Millwall, wow, okay. Right, we'll move on to a very big game at the Hawthorns. It's West Bromwich Albion versus Middlesbrough. Now, West Bromwich Albion lost to Watford. I thought they played all right. They're missing their goalkeeper, aren't they?
It is a big miss. It is a big miss.
There's just so many mistakes, so many goals being let in, and if you could just avoid that, they're scoring probably enough, and they've got enough quality in their team to wrap up a top six finish, so it could be what costs them. They probably need to get something from this game.
Yeah.
I think West Brom will make it tight. I don't think Middlesbrough are necessarily going to walk away with this game like they have in many of the games that they've played. But I do see that Middlesbrough team as a team that can grind out results as well. And they'll know Sheffield United will suddenly start winning again soon. So Middlesbrough need to keep winning. I'm going to back Middlesbrough to win 2-1. I think Michael Carrick's doing a great job. They're in better form than West Brom. And they've got a keeper that knows what he's doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. However, I'm going to give Middlesbrough an extra goal. I think when Middlesbrough get firing, they're looking very good. Their formation's working for them. Carrick's doing a great job. West Brom are just dropping off the ball a little bit. So 3-1 to Borough. 3-1
to Borough. Wow, massive game. Right, we'll go on to the last game. We go down to South Wales as Swansea City take on Rotherham. Now, Rotherham had a disastrous weekend when they lost to Coventry and saw all the other teams around them picking up wins. But what a result against Sunderland. They got the 2-1 win, and do you think they'll do it this year? Do you think Rotherham will stay up?
I think they could, but still early days, really.
I think it's going to be so close. I feel like Rotherham are going to be right on the edge. But ideally, they'll want to get something from this game, and they've got every chance to, because Swansea City lost at home to Stoke, and Swansea City, as good as they can be, as much possession as they can have, haven't really put it together necessarily this season. I'm going to say a draw. I think Rotherham will take a point on the road. I'll say 1-1.
I'm going to back the Millers to get 3 points there. I think they're going to back up a 2-1 win with another 2-1 win. Just because Swansea are looking a little bit out of sorts and Rotherham really need the points, should capitalise on that. And I think they're going to do it. 2-1.
2-1 Rotherham. Wow, that wraps up some pretty mental championship predictions, guys. Do make sure to get your predictions down below. Do make sure to hit that like button. We'll go for 297 likes or whatever it was. And do make sure to subscribe. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.